back here trying to bypass all this plumbing here, and I'm looking at this thing, and it's all rusted, and I suspect there may be an issue there. We're having engine problems. I think it might be a bad fuel pump or air is getting into the line through one of these fittings. We have about a mile run through a very narrow channel with a lot of coral heads. The last thing we need is for the engine to quit in the middle of these coral heads. So I'm gonna bypass the ray core and install this primer bulb. From past experience, I know I have at least 15 minutes of full speed motoring, so alright, there it is. It's not pretty, but I pumped it enough where it's solid now. So I know it's pumping fuel through, so that I know that there's fuel getting to the engine now. So all we need is 15-20 minutes to get through the coral field, and we'll fix it when we get to the dock. So I think this will do it. I was about 40 miles from St. Pete, and same thing happened. The fuel pump on the engine quit. In this case, it was just the mechanical pump. I was going against the wind, and I basically had to tack and watch the sunset as I sailed right towards it, and tack back, trying to get into Tampa Bay. The wind had shifted, and I realized that I was going to be there all night. Finally, after just reading manuals of the engine and troubleshooting and all this stuff, and just thinking, like, what else could I possibly use as a pump? That's when I thought about the primer pump. On the dinghy fuel tank, I basically just cut my fuel line on the diesel engine and installed it. Every 15 minutes, I would go down and I would pump that bulb until it was hard. I just set an alarm, and every 15 minutes for 6 hours, I finally got back to St. Pete at like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I just dropped the anchor by the marina and called some friends in the morning to help me into the dock, you know, just in case it would stall again. I didn't want to do that at 4 a.m. But this worked once, so I'm hoping it works again. I think this will work. It has to. This is how you walk through a boat when it's heeling like a mother trucker. It's like climbing uphill. Trying not to fall into the engine room. Whoa. That tells you how far we're heeled over. The gimbaled stove. Their fresh bread from last night. It's delicious. I got it installed. It's primed up. It's pumping fuel, so it'll get us through. This dog used to not sit still, and we used to have to put him in his bag. Even just like a big sigh, you should see him. Even when it wasn't that rough, and we're actually heeled over at like 20 plus degrees. Look at him, just made himself like a little level nest out of the soft blanket.
I figure it out if he just rides it out.
And no, we didn't build this nest for him. He did that himself.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We're about a half hour from Turks, Seller's Cut, and we're hauling ass actually. Got a little luff in the head sail, but that's okay. Winds are dying a little bit in the little cove here. Yeah, we got to get all the dock lines out.
Hold this. Keep her down, Arthur. Stay.
Arthur peed on deck while we were sailing.
Yeah, he's desperate.
He was desperate. So we went all since 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock yesterday.
He went almost 24 hours.
He would never go while the boat's moving before. He's getting used to this gig. Our friends are here. They should have got here yesterday about this time. So we're anxious to get to the dock, get checked in, and go meet our friends. So hopefully we get there in time. It's almost 1. I think we're okay.
As we approached Seller's Cut, a guide boat was there to meet us, along with 4 other boats waiting to get into Turtle Cove Marina. We highly recommend using this free service from the marina. The channel is marked, but it would be difficult for a first-timer.
We made it to Turks. We got checked in, and
We clean up nice, don't we?
yeah, we do. We're all cleaned up and checked in and everything, and we are going to meet our friends. They're really only like 3 blocks away. They're on the beach, I guess. One of our friends knows we're coming, but everybody else, they don't think that we made it. They think we got stalled out in the Bahamas, and so we're gonna walk up and we're gonna surprise everybody. I think this will be fun. Let's go. All right, here we are, beach access. These guys are right down here on the beach. Arthur. Hold on. Yo, what up? Oh, it's Nelson!
You gotta be kidding me right now.
Oh! I was gonna take your photo and film us coming around the corner.
What's up, man? Holy. So impressive!
Yeah.
They fucking made it!
Oh!
I talked to this Knights in for a tailspin here. We watched your boat come in.
After a long passage, we were all exhausted. The next day, as our friends were out exploring the island, we stayed in to enjoy the luxuries of land life.
Cookie. Cheese. No.
Collaborate and listen. Ice back to brand new riches. Something that's a hold of me tightly and forward like a harpoon. Feeling lightly. Will never stop, yo. I don't know. Turn off the lights and I'll blow to the extreme of what I might like a vandal. Light up the stage and watch the chump like a candle. Dance. Whoever speaking that boom is killing your brain like a poisonous mushroom. Deadly. When I lay a dope melody, anything less than the best is a felony. Love it or leave it. You better don't wait. You better hit bullseye. You better go play. If it was the problem, yo, I'll solve it. Check out the notes for DJ Walton. Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby.
trying to troubleshoot our engine issues. We were talking to our friends Valhalla. Their issue was all a fuel filter problem. But the night before we left, I changed both of my Raycor filters, and a few days prior to that, I changed the canister filter on the Yanmar. So I know I had all clean filters, but I understand that it's not impossible for those to get clogged. That's just seemed unlikely for me that was the problem. Just to test the fuel pump, I had Kelly turn on the ignition key, and I have an electronic fuel pump in line, and that should pump with the key in the on position, not even started. And so I disconnected the fuel line from the engine and just right into a bucket, just to see how that fuel is flowing. With the bypassed Raycor going right into the bucket, it was a nice clean flow. It's what I expect. So I know that the fuel pump is good. As soon as I hook up the Raycor filter, it starts sputtering, and I'm getting a lot of foamy, air-filled fuel. I have two Raycor filters I can switch between. One of them is better than the other, but I still get it on both of them, and I don't know why. I've tightened all the fittings and everywhere hoses connect to make sure there's nothing getting pulled in. But for some reason, as soon as I hook up those Raycor filters, it's either providing enough resistance where air is intruding somewhere else, or it's coming in right from the filters themselves. What I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna keep eliminating pieces of the puzzle. Okay, baby. Yeah, trying to get a clean flow of fuel through our system here. We're struggling. Back here trying to bypass all this plumbing here, and I take this off and peel this back and see there's a vacuum. See that gauge right there? It's a vacuum gauge. And I'm looking at this thing, and it's all rusted, and I suspect there may be an issue there. Hey man, I'm in the engine room right now. I'm taking my alternator out. I did some tests and found out I think the alternator's bad. So my plan is to go over to that Caicos Marine and try and get a new alternator.
Oh, okay, man. Hey, while you're over there, do me a favor. Ask them if they have a fuel pump for our engine. I wouldn't mind having an extra one on hand just in case.
Yeah, right on. I'll ask. So, you're heading out to do some errands right now?
Yeah, we swapped out the scooter for a car this morning, so we got a couple more groceries to pick up, and we're almost out of booze.
I think I'm gonna go to the marine places myself, at least Caicos Marine.
Okay, alright man, we'll just talk to you guys later. We're gonna try to do that karaoke thing tonight, so.
Alright, we'll talk to you guys later. We rented a car for a couple days, and so I'm gonna ride around town and see if I can't hunt down some parts. I'd like to get out of this marina and go anchor a bit, save a little cash. Can't go anywhere until we get this alternator fixed, so hopefully there's one Yanmar dealer in town, and hopefully they have what I need. So lucky enough to have a guy here in the marina. He runs a boatyard, and he's a Yanmar dealer, so he was called to shop, and they have a Yanmar alternator. I'm gonna go over there and pick it up, and it's gonna require a little bit of rewiring because the one I have is some kind of aftermarket thing. I'm gonna brave the roads of Turks. Gotta remember here in Turks, left side. Stay on the left.
Hey guys, we need your help. We have some pretty amazing fans and an awesome little pirate ship here, but we have room for more on board. So subscribe now and tell a friend. You can also share us on Facebook and Instagram and keep up with our daily posts, as well as our website, sailingsatori.life. If you want to see even more from us, visit our Patreon page, where you'll see extra footage and personalized updates. Every effort keeps a little wind in our sails and helps us keep making awesome videos for you guys. Now, on with the show.
And so what we have here is we have a line from our tanks, and we come up to a valve which we can switch between one Raycor or the other one. It comes down into this vacuum gauge, and through there it goes to the engine. I was getting air into the fuel no matter which way we had this valve turned. Turns out that this bowl here had a bad O-ring. Even though we might be switched and using this Raycor filter, the fact that the line going to the engine is connected to both of these is that air will make its way here even if we're switching and pulling fuel from this side. Luckily, our friends Valhalla had an O-ring that we can use, and so I was able to rebuild this. That was the problem, and the solution was to get a new O-ring. So I'm going to order a couple rebuild kits and make sure both of these have good O-rings going forward. So I was able to put in the alternator. The original mounting hardware was probably discarded, I don't know, years ago. So this is actually a Yanmar alternator. So I had to go to the hardware store, and luckily Turks has an awesome hardware store. It's like a big Ace, kind of like the one in Key West. Tons of stuff, a lot of boat stuff, a lot of hardware, everything you need. I was able to find what I needed to get this thing mounted, and originally this should have just like a little harness that just plugs right into the alternator, and it's already wired in. That was, again, discarded years ago because it had an external regulator. Well, this one has an internal regulator. It's much more simple. It's not as much output as the aftermarket 125 amp that I took out. But this thing is 80 amps. I think it's plenty for what we're doing. I don't really use the engine to charge the batteries unless we're motoring. And I was only seeing maybe 40-50 amps out of that other alternator anyway. So it'll be interesting to see what this one puts out. These harnesses go up to one regulator, and then another one that goes to nothing. It's just a mess in this thing, so I'm gonna clean this up today and figure out what goes where. And that is what I took out. It's almost worth it just to get all this crap out of there. On the next episode of Sailing Satori, we attend a local fish fry, spend some time on the top-rated beach in the world, and perform major surgery on our dinghy. Check it out on sailingsatori.life.